Alrighty, good morning or afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for the Microsoft AI Skills for Students information session. My name is Vicky and I will be your host for today's session. I am from Acodus Academy, the training arm of Acodus, a 50,000 engineer strong global company delivering talent solutions, consulting and training services. As a Microsoft Solutions partner, we have collaborated with Microsoft to bring you this free skilling program aimed at empowering students to build agents with Copilot Studio. Today, I am joined by Catherine Ennis, Future Ready Skills Specialist at Microsoft, as well as Rishona Elijah, Technology Evangelist at Barhead Solutions, an Acodus company, and Rishona is also our Microsoft AI Skills for Students Ambassador. If you do have any questions throughout the session, feel free to put a comment into the chat and we will address them throughout the session and at the end of the session as well. This is the agenda for today. So we've ticked off the introduction and welcome. Next, we will have a few opening words from Catherine, followed by the Microsoft AI Skills for Students program overview. And a bonus for today, Rishona will be demonstrating how to build an agent in Copilot Studio. Wrapping up the session, we will cover the next steps and finish with Q&A if there are any questions that we have not addressed. Now, I would like to invite Catherine to the floor for a few words.
Thanks, Vicky. I hope everybody can hear me okay. Thank you for this opportunity to have this session today, and thank you to the Reactor for hosting us. We're delighted to be here talking about our program, which will help students and educators and others interested in this area to use Copilot Studio in a way that they may have not used before, in a low-tech, no-code way. Low tech is probably not the right way to say it, but definitely a more user-friendly approach that anybody with a certain, a non-tech skill set or background can jump in and start feeling like they are learning the in-demand AI skills that are required today. My role is the Future Ready Skills Specialist at Microsoft, and I've been here in this role for the last 3 years. And a lot of my work is around increasing the use of our learning platform, Microsoft Learn, which you'll see today, and helping with coordinating, supporting large online student boot camps, which you may have seen us before. We've worked with Acodus on a number of occasions over the last few years and beyond, but I have been more involved with the student boot camps that we deliver twice a year, plus this really exciting program, this free training opportunity, which I'm really excited to be able to talk about in more detail, or have Rishona here deliver a demo, which is fantastic. I'm really delighted and looking forward to that. If you have any questions, please put them in the chat, and I'll put in my LinkedIn there if you also want to connect with me. Very happy to hear from you, and if you have any further questions. So that's really all from me, Vicky. I'll hand back to you, and thanks again.
Thanks so much, Catherine. Next, I will cover the Microsoft AI Skills for Students program overview. So what is the Microsoft AI Skills for Students program, and why will you join? So this complimentary training program is designed for students and educators across Australia and New Zealand to learn how to build safe, intelligent, responsive, and versatile agents that can handle a range of interaction and tasks autonomously. And why is this important? The World Economic Forum has reported that according to Deloitte, half of companies that use generative AI will have launched the use of agents by 2027. So understanding how to build an agent is one of the top emerging skills that employers are seeking. Adding on to that, what benefits will you get from joining this program? So now this is a practical training program, so you will learn how to build agents, and our trainer will show you how you can do this in Copilot Studio. You'll also get industry recognized Microsoft Learn badges and a certificate of completion endorsed by Microsoft and Acodus Academy. In the live sessions, you will learn directly from a Microsoft expert, and they will show Copilot Studio demos. Finally, you'll have the opportunity to get access to a Copilot Studio environment so you can build agent prototypes until the end of June. Now, this program only runs until the 27th of June this year, so we have a little under 2 months left, and there are still a number of cohorts remaining that you can join. Going into a little bit more detail, this is what you can expect from this program. There are 3 sessions in total, 2 of which are 2-hour virtual instructor-led training sessions and a bonus student drop-in call. So session 1 is the introduction to Copilot Studio and basic agent building. You will learn the basics of Copilot Studio and its capabilities, how to create a simple agent using Copilot Studio, and how to integrate basic conversational flows and responses. The second session is advanced features and deployment. So what you'll learn from this one is how to implement advanced features in Copilot Studio, how to deploy the agent to various platforms, and also the best practices for agent development and maintenance. The third bonus session is a student drop-in call. So this will run for 1 hour. So in this session, students can pose questions around the use of Copilot Studio, get guidance from our Microsoft expert on agent prototypes, career skills, and any pathway-related questions as well. So make sure that you attend both sessions 1 and 2 as they are extremely valuable. The bonuses for this program, which are the badges, certificate of completion, and demo environment expression of interest, will be shared in session 2. So make sure that if you do register for this program, do stick around for the entire session. And prior to session 2, just ensure that you have a Microsoft Learn account created so you can claim the badges and trophies. One thing to note is that you are required to attend both session 1 and 2 to receive the certificate of completion. So do keep that in mind. And on the screen here, we have we're just showing just example of what that certificate of completion and that Microsoft badge looks like. Finally, introducing you to our Coders Academy trainer, Arafat Tessin, who will be delivering these sessions for us. So Arafat is a trainer as well as a Microsoft MVP in artificial intelligence and a Microsoft certified AI advisor for various startups. Arafat has an extensive experience in AI transformation and emerging technologies and has delivered some of the large-scale projects of the country. You'll also see his LinkedIn and his blog post on the screen here. So Catherine, if you could pop that into the chat, that would be lovely. Alrighty. Next, I will hand over to Rishona for a demo on building agents with Copilot Studio.
Thanks for that, Vicky. Excited to give you all a bit of a tour around Copilot Studio so you know what to expect once you get into the program. Today's is really just going to be a quick snapshot into what you can expect. So I prepared an example agent and I'll show you some things that I've set up this agent to do. And then we'll get into the back end of it. So we'll start off with creating our own agent and then setting up some of the things that I've got working in this demo. And the really cool thing about this is that this is really easy to set up. So it's a matter of connecting it to the right sources to get something up and running. But then you can also take it the next level and do a lot more configuration around your agent to get it to work the way that you want and get it to do more additional tasks. So the one that I have here that I was going to take us through is an example of an IT support agent. So suppose you're at work and all workplaces will have a process around submitting support tickets and IT tickets that employees are raising. So what this agent is here to do is to help employees through that process. It can troubleshoot issues for them. by tapping into any like existing FAQ and knowledge sources the organization has. And it can also submit some support tickets for them. So if I decide that perhaps I want to go and reach out to the team so they can go and help me, my agent can assist me with going and logging that ticket for someone to follow up on. So let me just give a demo of some of the things that this agent will do, and then we'll take a look at how this has been configured. So this one here, I've set it up in Microsoft Teams where an employee can go and talk to it. So first of all, I could go here and ask any IT support related question. Perhaps I want some help with resetting my password. So I can talk to my agent and ask questions such as, how do I reset my password? So what it's doing here is that it's tapping into some knowledge sources, some FAQs that we already have existing at work. And it's going to use that to try and answer my question. So what it's come back with is it's looked through all of those documents, the answers we're pointing it to try and find the most relevant one for me. So we've got the basic FAQ function, but a couple of other things it can do is also go and tell me what tickets I might have raised before and what are my outstanding tickets. So I could go ahead and ask, what tickets do I have? So just to show you what it's going to be doing in this case is that what I've got here is, this is an application that's being used across the organization that's going to record everyone's support tickets that have been raised. So it's a way for your support people to go and work through the tickets. So what my agent here is doing is that it's able to go and tap into that source of all of these tickets being set up in this application. And it's come back with a summary of the ones that belong to me. Okay, and final thing that we are going to get this one to do, two more things that we can get this one to do. So we can get it to go and take action on our behalf. I've set this one up so that it can go and log a ticket if we need. So perhaps that Q&A, the FAQ that was there wasn't enough and we need some help. So now I might go and ask my agent, I want to submit a ticket. So what it will do now is it's got a few questions that it's going to ask me before it will go and submit that. I can simply go and describe the issue that I'm having. Let's say I can't reset my password, need help. So what we'll see when we get into it is that we can set some automations up to run in the background of our agent. So that means that rather than this just being a basic Q&A interface where we can get the answers that we need, it can actually go and perform tasks for us on our behalf. So you can see here that it's come back and told me that it's got to pass my request onto the team and it's given me a ticket number. If we go and look back in this application I showed us before, what it's done is it's actually gone ahead and created that for us in this app that I have. And the other thing that it's done is I'm in Microsoft Teams here. I've connected it up to a Microsoft Teams channel where it can go and now post that notification. So someone in the IT team can notice it and then go and work on that ticket that I've raised. And one final thing, another automation, is let's say that I wanted to request a new device. So that might involve creating a ticket, but it might also involve maybe I need to get someone to approve that first. So let's go and take a look at this. If I was to ask, I want to request a new laptop. So it's going to take notice that, oh, I'm now requesting a new asset, like a laptop, a mobile phone, maybe a new headset. That's perhaps something that needs an approval before it can go and do that for me. I can describe a bit more about what I'm after. So let's say need a new laptop old one won't charge. Okay, so what this will do, once again, in my app that I've got here, it will go and create a ticket for me, and we can see the details there. I've also got it to set my approval status to pending. And in this case, I'm going to pretend that I'm my own manager and go and approve my own requests. So if it was a manager, they would get a notification come through where they can go and review the details. They can add in some comments about it and either reject or approve that request. So this is the idea of having an autonomous agent. So it can go and perform all of these tasks without me actually needing to be sitting there talking to that agent. It goes and does this in the background. So really, once that manager has gone and approved or gone and rejected that, I'm going to see an update. In my chat with the agent, it's now told me that my new computer has been approved. I can go and pick it up. And then if I jump back into this application where we're managing all of those tickets, we've also got it to go and set my approval status to approved now. So it's good to go. So what we've just seen is this agent go and do a few things. Our basic FAQ, where we can hook it up to any sources and information we have. It can go and retrieve information such as tickets I might have raised in the past, as well as go and do things for me, like go and submit a support ticket on my behalf. So what we'll look at now is how we can go and configure our own agent similar to this. So the tool that you're going to be learning about throughout the program is this one called Copilot Studio. This is a no-code agent building interface. So if you think about, I can go in, build out a conversation that I want, I can connect it up to sources. This is all without needing to write any code. So something like this is very easy to configure. So we're going to quickly spin one up here and then get it to do a few of those things that I just showed you. So when we get into Copilot Studio, I have the option here where I can simply describe the type of agent that I want. And then this can help me with getting something set up really quickly rather than relying on me to go and build it out from scratch myself. Over in the Create tab, there are also a series of templates that you might want to leverage as well as a starting point too. And I could have multiple agents, perhaps for a different purpose. You can see here I've got my IT support one. We might also have different agents for different purpose, such as maybe an employee onboarding agent to help them with the onboarding process, or a HR agent to answer HR-related questions like leave requests. You can set up many of these for a different purpose that people have access to. Let's get started with building a new agent. An easy way to configure this is walk through this chat setup process that it has, where it can do a lot of that pre-setup for me rather than me needing to do a bit of manual stuff in the background. Otherwise, if I wanted to do it manually, that's always an option too. But let's have a go at setting up our agent with this chat. So first, I just need to describe what type of agent do I want to make. So I'm going to say I want to create an agent for internal IT support. So now it's just going to ask me a series of questions. And as it does it, you can see that it's sort of summarizing here what the purpose of that agent is going to be. It uses this as a guideline for when it's answering questions. So a lot of the responses it might generate are going to be AI generated, as we'll see. So this here, like, do not provide support for non-work devices, make sure responses are clear, offer solutions. This is the purpose of it, really. It uses this as a guideline so it knows the best way to respond to people in certain circumstances. Now it wants me to pick a name for it. I could use that, or maybe I want to suggest another. All right, let's go with that. Okay, so what I can do here is provide any additional instructions that I might want to give it. So to make it a bit interesting, I might also want to specify the type of tone it should use. So I'm going to say here, keep a friendly tone. When you're providing instructions, display in a numbered step-by-step format, and giving it permission to use some emojis sometimes to keep it interesting. I could keep working through this to build it out a bit more, but I might just leave it at that for now, so we can take a look at what this all looks like now once that's created. I might just go ahead and create that one, and we'll start taking a look at some additional setup that we can do behind the scenes. This is where all of our building happens in Copilot Studio. That information that I gave it before is already here. And I can go and talk to the bot at the side. So that should go and respond shortly. Let me just jump back to the overview page. Okay, so what we have here in Copilot Studio is the overview. This is where we can see those instructions that we've already given it. We've got something called topics, which are things that we have set up to determine how the bot is going to respond in certain circumstances. Knowledge sources that we might want to connect it to. For example, should it be able to go and grab any information from the web? Should it perhaps pull information from a particular website or file that we have? We can add these sources here. Actions. I showed you a couple of examples of that. Our agent can go and perform things on our behalf and interact with different systems that we use. So first thing, why don't we go and connect this to a knowledge source so we can start with that basic FAQ feature of it. So what I've got for my knowledge source is I've got a couple of documents here. And let's say this is our business information and we have this stored somewhere such as SharePoint that's accessible to people. So if I go and ask an IT related question, what it will do first, we'll check this existing documentation that we have to make sure that it's retrieving the right answer. So first of all, I've got one document here where it's showing me what type of issues might be occurring and then who's the best contact person for that. I've got another one just with some other FAQ around our internal IT processes that it can use as well. So these files are stored in a SharePoint site. So I'm just going to grab that URL of my site where those documents live. And let's go and add it as a knowledge source. I can add a knowledge source. I'll select SharePoint and simply just put in the URL for where those documents live. It's really as easy as that. There is a bit more you can do with this if you wanted to go a bit more detail, maybe tailor a bit more how it responds. But essentially, this is pretty much good to go and we're ready to test this out. I can talk to my agent at the side here. So perhaps I might go ahead and ask, who can help with password issues? Okay, so it's going to tell me that you can contact the IT help desk. I might ask now, how do I reset my password? Maybe I should refresh that first. All right, let's give that another go. How do I reset my password? All right, so just jump back to my knowledge source here. Just refresh that. And let me just publish my agent as well so we can get those responses. You can see that here it is recovering an answer, but I just needed to publish it out first so it makes sure that it's pulling the stuff from my SharePoint list first. So as a backup, something you can tick on this is that if it can't find it from your existing sources, it might tap into the web to try and answer the question. All right, going to give that another go. Otherwise, I'll show you the one I set up before. How do I reset my password? Okay, just had to not like me in that instance. Let me bring up the one that I have done before to show you that bit configured there. The other thing is, like, the first time you set up the agent, it does take a bit of time to like get ready. So this is only like a few minutes old. So sometimes you may need to wait like about 5 minutes or so before it will actually start pulling it from the sources, or since you've initiated and created it. But since we're short on time today, I'm just going to jump to one that I've done before to show you that in action there. Otherwise, I think if I do it at the end of the session, it should probably be back there. All right, so let's give it a go here. How do I reset my password? Okay, so this is a bit better. So what we should get here is that it shows you what knowledge source it's being able to pull that from. So in this response that it's given me, you can see here that it's followed my instructions of making sure that it's numbering the responses and the steps as I told it to. And it's showing me as well where it's getting that information from. So if I click there, it's going to take me to that document. So I know that it's not just making it up randomly, and it's actually from that knowledge source. So it's just that easy to connect your agent to something like a website, SharePoint, anywhere else where you might have like files stored or information. And then it uses that to ground where it's getting the answers from. This might be perhaps all I might need for my support agent. That's pretty much good to go because it's using all that existing FAQ that we have. But perhaps we wanted to modify our agent a bit further. Apart from adding knowledge sources, we've also got this topics area, which gives us a bit more control over how the agent is going to respond. So if you remember when the conversation started with the agent at the top, it's got this script here, and that's how it's responded. I could go ahead and change what message appears. So this is an example of a topic that we can go and set up. Some topics are things like what happens or what does the agent say when it starts the conversation? How will it end the conversation? How does it say hello? How does it respond if you say thank you? So what a topic is where it kind of dictates the flow of that conversation a bit more. So let's open up this one called Conversation Start. Our topics start off with a trigger. In this case, the trigger is that the agent has just started up and the conversation has begun. We can also, which I'll do later on, describe in what way is this conversation going to be triggered. For example, if I specifically wanted to say how the agent should respond, perhaps if I want to raise a new ticket, then I would say that in my trigger. So it knows exactly what it needs to call on this topic that we're setting up. The topic is really that conversation flow that you're building out. In the topic, we can add things like messages. We can ask questions if we're expecting the user to give us back a response. We can put in some conditional branching to handle different scenarios that might come up. We can call on actions, which I'll show us. This is the cool stuff where it can now start to tap into like other systems that we might have and call information from there. So basic stuff, we can just go and edit this message perhaps. Could say, hello, then it will say the bot name, virtual assistant. We can go and modify this message if we like. So I might say as well, I'm here to help you with your IT related questions. All right, let's save that. And now when we restart this conversation, we're going to see that that message has now changed. I'll give this a refresh. And there we go. So now we've gone and successfully modified or told it exactly how it should respond. We can keep doing more like these by using that topics area too. So one of the other things that I got my agent to do here was the one where I wanted to be able to raise a ticket. So if I jump back to the top here, I said to the agent, I want to submit a ticket. It's told me to describe it, and then it says it's passed it on to the team. So what it did there was also go and create a ticket for me and then post that ticket into Teams. Let's take a look at how we might use topics to configure something like this to work. I can go ahead and create a new topic. We can either build it from scratch or we can create it from a description. This is a bit similar to what we did right at the start when I was writing about what I wanted my agent to do, and then it took that information to build it for me. You could do a similar thing like that, but on a topic basis. I'll do it from blank in this case, so we get an idea of how you can actually go and build these out from scratch. These give you a lot more control over the conversation flow. So what I can add in here is a description of when is this topic going to be triggered. So how does it know to use this rather than tap into my FAQ and that knowledge source instead? So I can say here, this topic allows the user to submit a support request. All right, so now these are called nodes that we can add in to build out what this conversation is going to look like. First of all, the agent might say something like, I can help with that. But it perhaps needs a bit more information from the user too. Let's ask a question. After that, we'll add a node and ask a question. Perhaps I want to capture details about the request that the person has. Okay, so when we use a question, we want to be able to reuse that answer that the user has given us. And what we pick here is really what the agent is going to be on the lookout for. Does it just want to collect perhaps everything that the user types back? Or are we expecting them to pick from a list of multiple choice options that we provide? Are we looking for a yes or a no, maybe a city, a color, a date that the user has given us? So these are called entities that the agent is able to recognize from any text that I might send back. In this case, I'm after a description of their issue, so I might just perhaps want to capture everything that the user sends back to me. And just so I know what that is, I'll just rename it here. Let's just give that a quick test while we're here. I can see we got a question in the chat from why is it like flow in Power Automate? In fact, so far, no, but I am going to add in Power Automate really shortly. So what this is doing at the moment is that this is the AI doing its work. So it already knows exactly what things look like that it can pull out. But yeah, so Power Automate, I'm going to use in a moment, which is now going to go and perform those tasks on my behalf. So after the agent has actually captured the info that it wants, we'll use this tool called Power Automate. So for those of you who don't know what Power Automate is, it's another kind of no-code tool where it can connect up to like different applications, different services you use, like email, different tools, Facebook, Google Suite. And then it can go and do things in those different applications, like maybe go and retrieve some data in there, go and submit tickets on your behalf, things like that. All right, so let's go and give this one a test. So now if I go and ask, say, I want to submit a request. So what it's doing here, instead of tapping into that SharePoint knowledge source from before, now it's recognized that there's actually a topic that can handle this instead. So it's gone ahead and it's gone and asked that question that I've set up. But it's not really doing anything at this point after I go and submit an answer to it. So let's go and build out that topic a bit more. And yes, I see we got a question there. Can the agent access some policy document or other documents from SharePoint and reply? Yeah, absolutely correct. So one way of doing that is what I did at the start, where I simply just connected the agent to a knowledge source. So you've got things like SharePoint there. I had some like IT related FAQ. I've added that one too. You can also connect it up to websites, and there are a few other options here as well. Within a topic, you can also get it to search one of your sources too. I'll open up that one that I was building before. And to answer your question, yeah, within the topic, we have the option to go and use this thing called generative answers. And that's where within the topic, we can point it to like a particular file that it might go and search the answer for, and then retrieve that in the conversation. What I want to do in this case is let's just add another message here. And we'll say, thank you. I'll pass this on to the team. This is where it starts to get a bit more interesting, because we're going to now call on something called Power Automate, which will go and perform some actions in the background for us. I can add a node, and we have something called add an action. The one I'm going to use is this one called new agent flow. This takes us to this designer where we can build out what kind of background actions need to happen now. What I'm going to do here is get it to go and post a message in Microsoft Teams for me. This is a bit like a template where we can go and add in what these actions are. So the first thing that I've got here is the start of it. If you remember from my chat, and I lost it there, I'll just go and open it up again here so we can take a look. All right, so what we had in our chat was that the user gave us an explanation of what request they're after. That information, I want to be able to go and pass that into Microsoft Teams. So what I'm going to do here is add an input, and I'm just going to say, call it issue description. so that I'll be able to insert that wherever I want in this automation that I'm building out. And now I can start to build out what these steps are. This Power Automate tool gives you access to over 1,000 different applications and services. These are known as data connectors. I'll just take a browse through to show you some of the stuff that you can do. So it allows you to go and run actions in places such as OneDrive, SharePoint, Microsoft Teams, Power BI, and a whole range of other things as well, such as Adobe, Google Suite, Salesforce. So there are a whole range of these different things called connectors, which means that within your agent, and as people are talking to the agent, it can actually go and tap into all of these other applications that are out there to go and do something. I'm just going to do a message to Teams. So I'll look for a action called post a message in a chat or channel in Microsoft Teams. And I'm going to pick my Teams channel. All right, so what I can do here is now just write in the details that I want to post. So I might say new request from, and then the details. So where I've just left it blank, this is where I want to pull through information that our agent collected throughout that conversation. So next to that word details, I can click on this, and now I can see that issue description that I collected from before. Another one I forgot to add too is that we also want to get the person's name as well. So I'm just going to add another input here at the top for username. And let's insert that at the top here. So I'll get a message person Teams that looks like this. That's looking good to go. We'll save and publish it out. And then we'll just fix up a couple of the configurations in our topic, then it should be good to go. Let's see where we're at with the topic that we're building out. So what it's doing here is that we've got that action step happening. And the two things that I want to use throughout that process was that description that it collected earlier, and also get the person's name so I can post that too. So simply in this step, I'm just linking it up to what the agent has collected. So I can see before the agent collected something called the issue description, which I've linked up there. And when talking to the agent, because this is something that is only going to be used by employees, we already know some basic information about that employee talking to them, like their name and their email address. So it's not like I needed to ask that throughout the conversation. So in fact, the agent already knows the username. I can see that I've got something called the user display name. I want to go and put that in there. Let's finish it off with another message. All right, let's test it out. So now I say I want to submit a ticket. We'll explain our request. I just need to go and hit connect here. Usually like the first time it's using it, or it wants to run one of these flows we've created, we might just need to go and fix up this connection piece. All right, let's give that another go. All right, so now it says our ticket has been raised. Let's see if it went and posted our Teams message. And over here, we can see that it did. So we got our topic up and running with a basic flow that can go and post to Teams for us. I can see we've got a question there. If you use SharePoint as a knowledge source, is there a limit on how many documents the agent can handle? At one point, there was a limit. I'm not sure if it's still there. I think there still might be one. I might just go and do a look at that. In fact, maybe we can use the Copilot to answer that question for us. Let me just see if we've got switched on. Enable your agent to search all public websites. So to answer that question, let's give this one a test. I'm just going to switch this on so that it can just do like any kind of like general web search as well. And I might just switch that one off for now. All right, so let me guess. And while we've got that one running, just looking at the other question there, how do I host the client's information safely and securely without hassle? Would I get their IT department to isolate specific databases? So really, when someone is talking to the agent, if they don't typically have access to something, it won't recover information from it. So the one that I'm doing here is that there's a SharePoint site where these files live. In order for someone to talk to the agent and for it to give an answer found from that SharePoint site, the user would need to be a member of that SharePoint site. Same thing with other knowledge sources we use. So if you've got a database you're connected to, the user would actually need to have access to that database in the first place. So it won't change any level of access that people have to a system. Of course, if you're just getting info from like a public website or just a document you've uploaded, then that will be available there for everyone. But yeah, there's quite a bit you can do around security. You can put in authentication in this as well if you wanted to specify like certain things people could and couldn't do. Okay, so let's take a look at this. Yes, there's a limit on the SharePoint files an agent can use, number of files, all contexts. I check that out. So anyway, go take a read at like the documentation here. It looks like this one might be the right one to take a look at. I think that is definitely higher than 20. So maybe our agent didn't do that good of a job at retrieving it, or maybe it grabbed it from something else. But essentially, if you point it to the site, then it should be able to search like anything there. And as far as I know, there is no limit. The only time there might be a limit is like if you're like uploading the files directly into here as a knowledge source. That's a bit different, but yeah, connected to SharePoint, that shouldn't be an issue. Right, and we have a bit of time left, so I might just run through a couple of other things. So what we've taken a look at is connecting to a knowledge source. You can enable like the web search if you don't want the answer to come from something you specified. And we also have something called triggers, which we haven't used yet. But what this allows is for the agent to go and do things without you actually initiating the conversation first. So what you saw in most of the cases we did today is that I was talking to the agent and then it went to do something. But with the idea of an autonomous agent is that it can recognize when some type of change or an event happens, and then it can go and perform a task on your behalf. So for example, let's say someone goes and submits a Microsoft form. So a trigger will recognize that someone has gone and submitted a form submission to one of our forms that we have. So then we can get our agent to do things around it. So perhaps it might go and send a notification to someone, or maybe it might go and send back a message into the chat for us. So this allows you to get the agent to go and do things in the background without you actually needing to go and create a topic or wait within the conversation for the agent to go and complete that. Eventually, you're going to get some great analytics around this as well. This refreshes like every hour or so, and since our bot is pretty new, it's probably going to be empty at the moment, but over time you can start to see like the engagement rate of your agent and how people are talking to it. So perhaps what are the key things that people are saying to it? Is the agent able to answer it, or perhaps does it not answer it? So then you will end up getting a list of what are the things that the agent perhaps isn't acting that well for certain topics. Is there something very popular that comes up? So then you can see what those things are and then go and make the modifications that you need, which could be perhaps pointing it to some more knowledge sources to go and address those challenges. So you get some nice stats on like the knowledge source uses, what people are asking it. You can even go and take a look at the transcripts that have gone through. And finally, we've got the different channels that we can put our agent on and to make it available. The one I showed you earlier, I had my agent sitting in Microsoft Teams, which is probably a great option if you want to build an agent that people like your employees could go and talk to. But it doesn't only have to be for employees. You can build out an agent to put on like a website or for anyone anonymous or a customer to go and chat to as well. You can put it on your own website, mobile app, Facebook Messenger. It can even have like phone as well, where you can give it a phone number and people can call and talk to the agent. And it can then also escalate that to your live human agents too. Okay, so I hope we've enjoyed that overview of Copilot Studio. I did see a question before around getting access to testing it out, as I'm sure we're all excited to have a go at building it out. So just wait until the program starts, because you're going to get access to a demo environment that you'll be able to use to go and build this out. In the meantime, I might just grab something else that I think might be a good thing to try out as well. This isn't the full version of Copilot Studio, but if you go to this link, web.powerva.com.try it, I'll just post it in here. And yeah, maybe Catherine or someone can go and put that in the chat for people. So this isn't like the full Copilot Studio, but this is a good way to test out, like if you just wanted to build something that is an agent on a website or connected to a website. So what this allows you to do is just put in like a URL. So I might just grab like Microsoft Learn maybe, that has all the documentation. And then you can pretty much like start talking to the agent, and it's going to use that URL you've given it to go and answer the questions, which is a bit of a snapshot of what the full Copilot Studio is able to do. So if I ask, what is an agent? should be able to go and answer that by looking at all of that Microsoft documentation that we've hooked it up to. So that's a good way to get started with it before you get access to your demo environments. Okay, and with that said, I might just see if we had any final questions. I think I might have got all of them, but just let me know if there's any I've missed. Otherwise, thank you so much for listening in. Hope we're all excited to start building our agents and keen to get started on the program. I'll just hand back to Vicky to close us out for the session.
Thanks so much, Rishona, for that demo. So yeah, as you guys can see, it is quite easy to set up an agent in Copilot Studio. Obviously, like a simple agent. If it's something more complicated, then you'll obviously need to learn a little bit more advanced skills. But if what Rishona has shown us today interests you, please feel free to register for the AI Skills for Students program. So Isabel, if you could share my slides again. Thank you. So the next steps, you will see a QR code on the screen here. So this will lead to our Microsoft AI Skills for Students website. There will be a couple of cohorts remaining that you can register for. So do look through those and what dates those are. On the website, you will also find a LinkedIn tile, which shows that you are participating in this program. So feel free to download that and share it on your LinkedIn profile to inspire your peers to join in on the learning. So we do have around 2 minutes left. So if you do have any other questions about the program or any technical questions for Rishona, do let us know. In regards to the access to Copilot Studio, if you join our program, in the second session, we will share an expression of interest form for you to access a free demo environment so you can start building those agents in there. And this will be accessible until the end of June. So someone has just asked for the link. So let's pop that into the chat. Maybe I'll show the screen again for the QR code. So feel free to scan the QR code there to register for the program. So when you register for the program, you'll have access to all of the 3 sessions. So there's no specific registration link for the second session only. So the link has just been popped into the chat there. Thank you so much. Alrighty, now we've hit time. So if you do have any other questions, feel free to reach out to us at techacademyau@acodesgroup.com. Thank you everyone for joining us today, and we hope to see you in the Microsoft AI Skills for Students program. Thanks everyone. Have a lovely day.